This video features the best brawlers you need to be playing for Power League. If for some reason these brawlers aren't banned, you need to be picking them because they are completely dominating the meta. Alright, the first brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Cordelius. Now, Cordelius is still going to be a very strong brawler in this meta, even though he is dropping inside the list, but it's all because of his super. Like, being able to use your super to eliminate the strongest brawler on the enemy team and prohibit them from doing anything in like the actual match is completely broken. I mean, this is why he really shines inside of Power League. Like, the enemy team goes like a broken hypercharged brawler, you just counter pick with Cordelius and you can shut down that brawler completely. Now, when you use your super and get the enemy into the shadow realm, you have to take advantage of your increased reload speed and movement speed. This will just give Cordelius an extra edge, an extra advantage to get that enemy down faster. And something that can even help you on top of that is using the combo shroom star power, because when you connect with your main attack, like the second mushroom that comes out of your main attack will end up dealing more damage if you connect onto the same target. This will actually help you guys just deal more damage, get enemies down faster, and help you guys charge up your super even quicker. Now, when enemies are in the shadow realm, they're actually not going to be able to use their gadgets or supers or anything like that, and typically, you know, Cordelius wouldn't be able to use his gadgets as well inside the shadow realm. However, a workaround around this, if you're using the poison mushroom gadget, is to activate your gadget first and then use your super onto the enemy, because if you guys have your gadget, like you have it saved up and then you use your super, you'll actually be able to use it inside the shadow realm too, and this will just give you guys even more of an advantage. You just have to make sure you're connecting onto that shot and muting that enemy if you're using the poison mushroom gadget. Now, speaking of the replanting gadget, I do recommend actually using this in most case scenarios because it is the better gadget, and I recommend using the gadget charge gear with this gadget. Just being able to have the replanting gadget, like you can use it to jump over obstacles, you can use it to dodge incoming attacks, or you can even use it to like close down the distance between the enemies so you can get closer to them, because you know Cordelius' attack range isn't really the longest. I mean, overall, there's just a lot of versatile ways to be using Cordelius, his super, his gadget, all of the above, but you guys got to be playing him in Power League. I mean, he's such a good counter pick. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about, another great counter pick inside of Power League, is going to be Spike. Now, Spike is undisputedly one of the best legendaries in the entire game, but that is all because of like his versatility and how much DPS he can really do from a long range or even at close distance. Like, everybody's known this ever since Spike has been released. Like, he is considered one of the best anti-tank brawlers in the entire game. And even though, yes, Spike is considered like a hypercharged brawler because he has one, he is considered like a very good hypercharged brawler killer. I mean, his ability to just do thousands of damage per main attack is just a reason why he's such a great counter pick inside of Power League if they go like a broken hypercharged brawler. Now, yes, even though Spike has long range, he has good DPS, he doesn't have the most amount of health. So when you're playing him, you need to make sure that you're keeping your distance from him, and something that can help him out is using the shield gear to give him that little boost. Now, yes, I know I've been glazing like his main attack damage and all that kind of stuff, but another thing that's really good about Spike is his super. Like, being able to just throw your super, block down a choke point, like if you're playing hot zone, you can cover the objective, prevent the enemies from gathering time. It's just one of the most annoying things about Spike, because they're either gonna have to run around that choke point, which is gonna cause them to waste time, or they're gonna have to just run right through it, and that is when you need to burst them down and take advantage of that opportunity. Now, something that can actually amplify your super is using his Sticky Spikes mythic gear. Being able to slow down the enemies while they're inside of your super, if you actually catch them inside, it's going to make it even more difficult for them to escape it. And that is going to make it even easier for you and your teammates to get that enemy down and just completely take control of the map. Now, probably one of the more annoying things about Spike is his curveball star power. You can shoot in the general area of where the enemies are. You don't have to hit them directly, and you can just pray that the spikes that are shooting out of your spike grenade hit the enemy. This is just a great ability to, you know, kind of just poke away at the enemies, prevent them from healing up, especially if they're trying to hide behind a wall. And then, of course, combining this star power with his life plan gadget, I mean, it's just the perfect combination. You're gonna pop down that large cactus and be able to tank shots for you and your teams, and especially when it bursts, you guys can heal that health if you guys are standing near it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And you know what the absolute cherry on top with Spike is? He has a hypercharge, and his hypercharge is incredibly strong as well. Like, you can increase your super's radius by 20%. So imagine using his hypercharge where you can increase the radius of your super, plus having the Sticky Spikes mythic gear to slow down the enemies. I mean, it's just a deadly combination that makes it very difficult for the enemies to escape your super. Now, I know it feels like I covered a lot of things about Spike, but if you guys want a more in-depth guide on how to play Spike, I uploaded a new Spike guide for 2024, so make sure to go check it out. I'll put it up right up here. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is the twins, Larry and Laurie. Now, even though they did receive a ton of nerfs like sometime last week, they are still considered a very strong brawlers. Like some of the nerfs they got was like their supercharge rate was increased from 5 main attacks to 8 main attacks. Their base health was decreased from 3400 to 3000 for both Larry and Laurie. The protect star power had a reduce in transfer damage from 100% to now 30%, and the assist star power can only reload ammo when hitting brawlers. Now I kind of want to branch off of that last nerf that I just talked about. Like this is gonna make Larry and Laurie basically useless in heist. Heist was basically their best game mode because every time Laurie attacked the safe, like Larry was able to just gain back a ton of ammo super quickly. But now with the nerf, like Laurie is only gonna be able to like get ammo for Larry if he's hitting brawlers only. Now yes, even though with this nerf you're not gonna see Larry and Laurie a whole ton more in heist, they're still gonna be very good in heist, okay? So you still should be banning them in this mode. Now speaking of game modes just outside heist, there's still gonna be very good options to run, like basically in any game mode, but it's all because of how annoying Laurie is. Like with Larry, he can actually throw Laurie over walls too, so if people are trying to hide, you can just throw Laurie into the face of weak enemies and he can just use his shotgun to burst down that enemy. And also if you're playing against enemies that kind of have like slow unload speeds or just bad burst damage in general, those are the kind of brawlers you really need to have Laurie go ahead and target, so throw your super onto them. Now I'm predicting in the very near future with protect getting a huge nerf, I think that assist is actually going to be a better star power to use in general, because now with the nerf to like the reduced transfer damage from 100% to 30%, yes, it's still going to be great and all, but it's just not nearly as good as it used to be. I have a feeling people are now going to want to go for the more ammo, and with Laurie, you know, being able to attack and get that ammo for Larry, hey, it's going to be a very viable option for a lot of people to use now instead of Power League. As long as you guys are playing Larry and Laurie instead of Power League, you're using his main attacks to kind of just block off choke points, cover an area, having the enemies wait until those 2 attack animations are done, using Laurie, you know, as a way to kind of just disrupt the enemy's rhythm, prevent them from healing up. Hey, you're gonna have a lot of success inside of Power League with the twins. Alright guys, the next brawler we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Maisie. Now with Maisie getting a slight nerf with her supercharge rate actually being increased from 3 hits to 4 hits, she's not gonna be as good inside the meta, but she's still gonna be a very good option nonetheless because nothing else has changed in her kit. She's still gonna be a very viable option, especially inside of Brawl Ball, because that is gonna be her best game mode. You can use her super to kind of just knock enemies back, and especially if you're using the Tremor star power, it's gonna be even more difficult for the enemies to be able to like deal with her. Like her super is just a fantastic way to just shut down any aggro brawler. Like they're not gonna be able to do anything. You can just use the Tremor star power to your advantage, slow them down, and that is when you can hit them with your main attack to chain up your next super. Now yes, even though Maisie's supercharge rate was actually increased, she actually still can charge it relatively quickly. For every time you hit an enemy with your super, that'll help you charge your super a fourth of the way, and the same thing goes for her main attack. So what I really recommend when using her super is to try to hit multiple enemies with your super. If you can hit 2 enemies, say for example with your super, hey, you're already charging your super halfway there. Then all you're gonna have to do next is just hit your next 2 main attacks, and then boom, you got your super back immediately. Now something that pairs very well with her Tremor star power and her super is using her disengage gadget. Like what you should be doing is using your super and then use your disengage gadget to dash forward. This will just increase your chances of hitting more enemies and actually knocking back the enemies even farther. This will give you guys that kind of like surprise opportunity to kind of just catch the enemies off guard, and it'll help you guys hopefully hit more enemies. Now there's actually other ways you can even use disengage with Maisie as well. Like say for example there's like aggro brawlers that rush onto you. You can use your gadget to stun them for that half a second, dash away, and use your main attacks to burst them down. Or even if there's like a high incoming projectile coming towards you, you can use your dash to get out of the way and just dodge completely. And oh my god, let's not even mention Maisie having a hypercharge. I mean, it makes her so much more annoying to deal with. Like if you can manage to hit with your pressure rockets that shoot out from your hypercharge, hey, that can even help you as well charge up your next super too. And the more supers you can charge up while you're hypercharged, hey, that's just the more value you're getting every time you use your hypercharge. But of course, you know, just having the general stat buffs like the increased damage, increased shield, and increased speed in general as well when you're hypercharged, hey, you can't go wrong with running Maisie inside of Power League. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Charlie. Now you would think all the nerfs that Charlie got a couple of months ago would make her kind of trash, but she's actually a really good brawler inside of Power League. The main reason being is because of how annoying her super is. Like you can kind of think of it like Cordelia's putting people into the shadow realm. Being able to actually put people inside the cocoon and shut them down, prohibit them from doing anything, is so irritating. Like yes, even though the enemies can help that person that is stuck in the cocoon, help them break out, if they don't help them, you and your teammates can surround that cocoon and just totally smother that person right as they exit the cocoon. This is just a fantastic way to shut down any like super strong meta brawlers or a hypercharged brawler, and you and your teammates can just camp outside and burst them down immediately. Now something that is pretty underrated about Charlie's kit is using her spider's gadget. This is a super versatile gadget because you can use it to kind of tank shots for you and your teammates, or say there's enemies that you're trying to track down inside the bushes, like you can use the spiders to kind of scout those bushes for you so that you're kind of not surprised when they jump out at you. Now, as far as Charlie's main attack goes, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It is great to kind of chip enemies away from a far distance. However, the farther away you use it, that is just a longer time that you're gonna have to wait for Yo-Yo to return back to you. But you also want to be attacking enemies that are close to you, because the closer that you are, the quicker you're going to be getting your Yo-Yo back. Now, I really recommend do not auto-aim your attacks if the enemy outranges you, because if you end up missing your attack, that is just even longer. You're gonna have to wait for Yo-Yo to return to you. Now, something that's very helpful with Charlie that kind of a lot of like good players for Charlie or even Carl do is use peek shooting. What you do is you're hiding behind a wall, and then you kind of peek out behind the wall, attack, and then run back behind the wall. This way, if there's any enemies that are hiding behind the wall, or even if there's enemies between the wall and yourself, they could be hit by the Yo-Yo that's returning back to you. This is kind of a more advanced mechanic that a lot of good like pro Charlie players, even a lot of good Carl players use. So I really recommend trying to like practice this mechanic because it makes Charlie even better. Overall, with like Charlie's versatility, like having her super, I mean, it still makes her a disgusting pick inside of Power League. You guys gotta play her because she's another hypercharged killer brawler. Alright guys, the next brawler we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Leon. Now, the whole reason why Leon has climbed to basically the very top of the meta is because of his hypercharge. Like, of course, with every single hypercharge, you get the stat buffs with like increased damage, increased shield, and increased speed, right? However, being able to actually stack this on top of your Invisi-Heal star power with Leon just makes him incredibly broken. Because with Leon's hypercharge, you stay invisible no matter what, even if you keep attacking. The whole reason why Invisi-Heal was such a meme star power is because you would stop healing if you managed to attack during your super. But oh no, with this hypercharge, you're gonna keep on healing with that Invisi-Heal star power no matter if you are attacking. And you can actually amplify this even more if you're using his Lingering Smokes mythic gear. This just increased the duration of his super by an additional 2 seconds. And this is actually also a meme mythic gear, like nobody used it because it was not even worth it using with either of his star powers. But now that it stacks very well with his Invisi-Heal star power and his hypercharge, I mean, you gotta be running Lingering Smoke. It's actually very good now. Now, the whole reason why he's gonna be good inside of Power League is because he thrives very well in game modes like Gem Grab, Bounty, Wipeout, Knockout. Pretty much every single game mode he's very good in. Now, yes, even though you want to be getting close up to the enemies because that is how you're gonna deal the most amount of damage per shuriken, he can actually still charge up his super and chip enemies away from a far distance because he has a long range main attack. This just helps him because sometimes it can be hard to get closer to the enemies if he's kind of outranged, so chipping people away can help him charge up his super, and his super is the most important part about him. Now, another reason why Leon dominates Power League is because of his lollipop drop gadget. I mean, it just causes the enemies to be like on their toes, super cautious, and it just helps you and your teammates maintain control of the objective. As long as you guys can consistently chain your super, keep on going invisible and sneaking up onto the enemies, hey, you're gonna have a lot of success no matter where you play Leon. Alright guys, the next brawler we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Pearl. Now, the whole reason why Pearl is super meta right now and very strong is because of her buff to her movement speed and how much damage she can do now. Now, when you're playing Pearl, I really recommend starting off very slow and letting your heat bar charge up, because the more your heat bar is charged up, then hey, that is just more damage you're gonna be able to do with every single main attack. Now, I really recommend like playing Pearl similar to Pam. Like, the closer you are to the enemies, the more cookies you're gonna be able to hit onto the enemies. Now, one of the main reasons why Pearl is so good, I mean, she has one of the best gadgets in the entire game, and that is Overcooked. Because with Overcook, her next basic attack shoots burning cookies, dealing 33% extra damage over 3 seconds. So if you guys can wait until your heat bar is fully charged up and then you guys use your Overcook gadget, hey, that actually stacks as well with the additional damages you do over the 3 seconds. And especially if you can combine this with her hypercharge when you have a max heat bar, oh my god, it's just incredibly disgusting. Now, kind of talking about her hypercharge, it's not really the greatest unless you can use it to kind of blow up walls and an enemy is hiding behind that wall, because you know her super is kind of hard to hit the enemies unless they're like directly on top of you. So realistically, you don't really need her hypercharge in order to dominate inside of Power League. Like, she is pretty much a very good brawler even without it. Well, there you guys go, the best brawlers you guys gotta be playing in Power League. Really play them. If they're not banned, you gotta be picking them because they are dominating the meta right now. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that ranking video, I highly recommend you go check out this ranking video right here.